Welcome to the Brink. You're joining a group of entrepreneurs, brand makers, business owners, decision makers, power brokers, and risk takers, where we discuss business and marketing issues with insightful solutions. This is the Brink with your hosts Russell Sails and George Cartwright, reminding you that your business is either on the brink of extinction or distinction. Welcome. Yo! What's up, Russ?
What's going on, George?
Man.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. I am good. It is
sheltering in place.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know how it gets when you're sheltering in place and technology don't want to work to get tired of you and all that kind of stuff. But we here. We in the building.
It's all good. And welcome to those of you who took out some of your lunchtime to join George and I at the Brink. This will be a daily lunchtime conversation for you power brokers and risk takers, you business decision makers, those of you who are looking to not only maintain your business, but to grow it. And we hope to have a conversation that addresses the issues in the business community that's plaguing the entrepreneur, this one-person shop, as well as a mid-size and larger businesses. Discussions that will hopefully point you in the right direction. So George and I are here to talk about the era of COVID-19 and how it's affecting businesses across the world, and even in your neighborhood, as you have experienced firsthand. That being said, how bad is COVID-19? I mean, we look at this daily statistics, and they're not even daily anymore; they're hourly. The last time I checked this morning, there was 740,000 cases in the world. That's 35,000 plus deaths in the world. In the U.S. alone, there's over 142,000 cases. And last time I checked it, it's around 2,400 plus people who have lost their lives due to COVID-19. And those numbers are questionable at best, I would say as well, because I don't think everything has been attributed correctly, but that's my thinking. And when we see those types of things, we know that they are affecting everybody. People that used to be this thing on social media where if you didn't know it, know someone who had it, then maybe it wasn't true or going on. And unfortunately, that is not the case anymore because more and more people we know are succumbing to it. So that's the human toll. And that's, of course, the most important. But that human toll has an effect on the business toll, which is a human issue as well. Wouldn't you say, George?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is, if you think about it, with all of everything that's going on, it definitely has a human toll. Human toll ultimately has a toll on your business, right? So at some point it's your friends, and then this has really kind of shown how the economy is interconnected, how like we are all interconnected, and no matter what happens, some other place in the world, some other place in your supply chain, if there's a disruption there, then ultimately it disrupts you. So if we've definitely learned anything, it's definitely that we are all interconnected, and that
it's a small world after all.
It's a small world after all. That what happens, somewhere else it can definitely impact and affect me.
And even understanding all of that, I don't think our discussion here is to continue to rile up what's been in the news per se, and get you further fearful as a business leader, as a business owner, as a brand developer, but to acknowledge that that's happening and control what you control.
Right.
That's first things first. Practice social distancing, as George and I are doing. He's staying more than 6 feet away from me, and I'm appreciative of that. Hopefully you're doing the same with you and your family and loved ones and neighbors. And instead of stressing, I would, I'm an advocate of prayer. So pray. If meditation works for you, do that. Exercise. Control what you control. And but there are some things as business leaders that we feel that you should possibly be doing now, even though this is out of our control, right? And we can dive into what are some of those things that businesses and leadership should be doing right now. But when we talk about businesses, there's several categories of businesses, aren't there? You have the big businesses, your multinational global entities. Then you have your local businesses, your mom and pop shops down the street. And then you have the entrepreneur, those who are participating in the gig economy. How do you think those vary in responses during COVID-19, G?
I think for the most part, if you start from some of the biggest companies down to the smallest companies, the one thing probably that we all have in common is that it caught us all off guard, right? And
yeah.
So some of the larger companies probably had done tabletop exercises where they had a crisis management plan in place, and they had what do we do? The continuity of business. How do we keep our business going in the event that something happens in the airline industry? 9/11 happened. How do we work around that, and we keep business going, right? And so some of the larger businesses, the vast majority of them, I'm sure, have a crisis management plan. They have teams in place. They have a well thought out process for what to do in the event that something happens. As you go down the line to the smaller businesses, the mom and pops, they haven't thought about that. The vast majority of them haven't really thought about what happens if there's a gas main break on my street and we can't get into my business. What do I do then? Or what happens if key employees are sick, or and they're out for an extended period of time, or God forbid something else more tragic. So they have done that. Smaller businesses have not. Now, there's obviously something to be learned from that, because as I started with that, we are all in this same boat. We all got caught flat-footed for the most part, and the smaller businesses are probably impacted more because they did not have a crisis plan in place.
Isn't it interesting, given what you said on how it unfortunately impacts smaller companies at a higher rate, what we're going through, because they don't have that infrastructure in place. But I would dare to say smaller businesses, and you can tell me if you agree, impact the community, at least initially, the most.
Most certainly. The vast majority of people are hired by companies that are smaller companies, right? And they work for companies that have 500 people or less, the vast majority of Americans. So we certainly, and us included, because we are a small business, included in that, are impacted more than some of the larger businesses who have had these plans in place that they. So yes, that is the case.
So given that, can't go back in a time machine and before COVID hit, I'm thinking if we could, wow.
We have to go back 20 days, 25 days. So not that long ago.
That's true. How important is leadership then, within an organization?
Leadership is really important at this particular point. I think this is where leadership comes to bear. This is where leadership is most important in times of crisis. Leaders, companies that have these things rise to the top. There are companies that are shriveling up and running away from this crisis. They don't know what to do in this time that we are currently living in. They have not really thought about what comes next. maybe they are a restaurant and they don't have, they never thought about, let's see, well, how do we, deliver all of our, are we attached to Uber Eats or Grubhub or these kind of places? They hadn't previously thought about that. They didn't really need to think about that, heretofore.
Right.
But now they're forced to think about that, and leaders can make these decisions on the fly, or better than that, they have looked out into the future and thought about some of these things and have planned for these eventualities.
Wow. So the initial, from what I'm picking up, and of course I totally agree. There's some businesses, and we're seeing it through the reports every day, such as restaurants, who are not recovering from this because,
Correct.
Who could have foreseen this day, like this in this capacity. But those who are still struggling to maintain and hold on and even try to build through this, maybe there's an order that leadership could take in addressing the issue. And first, hopefully they've already been doing a couple of these steps. First, trying to clearly communicate, as I see it, with their internal folks, their employees, their partners, the distributors, whoever it is, as well as their external. So you've got to have the importance of, we see the importance of clear communication chains or channels in that capacity. And the other is, everybody now is basically working remotely, working from home. So it's giving operations are not as usual. Maybe leadership has a little bit more time to assess where they are. Maybe they need to rethink going forward how not to be this vulnerable again. Some people, it may mean pivoting and changing direction altogether in terms of what they produce or what they sell. Others, it may be delivery. How we do that. I don't know. What do you think about some other things that leadership can assess during this time that they have away?
Well, what are some other things that leaders should be assessing?
Yes.
It is quickly how to pivot, right? Like if you have products, are they online? Can people buy my product online? And if they can't, how do I get it online to get it out to the masses, right? And then who's going to deliver? Like all of those things. But if your web presence wasn't together, you are quickly deciding, hey, let me get my web presence together because this is all we got. Everybody's home. Statistics say that web usage goes up during this time. More people are on the web. I think what is also interesting is that if you had not been advertising heretofore, this is probably a good time to start advertising, right? Keeping your business, your product top of mind, or helping that. Advertising rates are going down. That's the first thing, which is a good thing because people that are not leaders, people that have not thought about this, leaders that got caught flat-footed in other businesses are withdrawing. So there's a vacuum in the marketplace. The first thing, there's this vacuum because people are like, let me hold on to my money because I don't know how long this is going to go. And in some sense, they think that is the thing to do. Right. When other businesses are saying, you know what, there's this vacuum. Let me let people know that we're here. This is not going to last forever. One. There will be a new reality on the other side of this. Where are you going to be? Where's your business going to be on the other side of it, right? And so it is paramount that instead of withdrawing, instead of closing up your shutters, that business leaders are out here thinking about these kinds of things and doing them, putting them into place.
So instead of retreat, now's the time to actually lean in And
Yeah.
that's a military term that is often used instead of retreating. That too, we use it all the time. Is double down a little bit, but be more strategic. And that's what you mentioned, that if you were not hitherto for investing lots of resources into your digital space, building your digital ecosystem, then it's obvious now that you should be doing that. I mean,
Oh,
if you look
certainly.
at it, isn't it ironic how this COVID-19 has clearly helped to delineate um, businesses by importance? You
Yeah.
know,
And employees as well. Businesses, are you an essential business or you're not essential business? Are you an essential employee or you're not an essential employee? Like those, I think that was one of the funny things to me. Like, wait a minute, I don't have to come to work. I'm not that essential. Like,
no,
maybe not.
no, yeah. So self-evaluation is
Yeah,
definitely
self-evaluation in this particular time, but all businesses are important. Like they are still important. They had a place in the market, and they were important to their local community. They're important to their local community for various reasons: revenue, jobs. The service that they provided, the products that they provided there in their local community. So you are important. Don't get that. Don't we're definitely not saying that. It's just now, what do you do with that? How do you pivot and say, I am important, and let me keep this in front of you because, hey, remember, we're important, we're essential. Yeah. So, absolutely.
And maybe use this time to rethink again how you communicate your importance.
Yeah.
The value you actually bring outside of what you usually thought.
Yeah. No doubt. Because and a lot of businesses haven't really taken the time to understand what their value is to the community. They're going about their day to day, right? They're just doing it. But have they codified their message? This is what we do. This is who we do it for, and this is why it is important to you, right? So this is the time. We have a little more time. This is the time to do all of those kinds of things, to go back, look at what your message is, to how you're communicating that, what is your plan to communicate it more effectively in the future, and that is to your customers, internal and external, because I dare say, I guarantee you that there were some businesses that got out here and they didn't have their employees' numbers, like just the basic things, like how do I reach my employees? Do I have all their numbers? Is all their information correct? Those basic things, people got caught flat-footed. What happens if they can't come in? Never thought about it before. But in this new reality, we are certainly encouraging you to think about that and to think about how you communicate both internally and externally.
That's wild. People who work for you, you don't have all the data that you require on them, which leads me to wonder, the people that you service or prospects, the businesses that you're going after, there may be gaps there as well in terms of being either as visible as you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And not just if you have a brick and mortar, you have a shop of some sort, whether it's hairdresser or dry cleaners or car wash, that everybody knows that you're there physically. But what happens when you cannot physically be there for them? So again, with the advent of knowledge, this whole crisis is completely reshifting and reorganizing global economy in such a way that those businesses that are not just online and namesake, but actually have put some thought and resources into that and prepare for it and are just as vibrant online as they are offline, will be the ones that, once this crisis is over, will come out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. You made me think of being able to communicate with your customers, right? So,
Yeah.
do you have a reward program? Do you have your customers' email addresses or their cell phones where you can send them a text or communicate with them in some other way other than this face-to-face? Like, what are you doing to capture that information when they come in, right? Because they want to give it to you. They want coupons, they want deals. I think of supermarkets and grocery stores. Right now we get the little card that gives you the discount for, I don't know, the Kroger card that gives you the discount. Well, when Kroger needs to contact me about what they got on sale, they can. And
Yep.
I'm happy that they can do that because I need that, right? Like right now, I need to know what's on sale. Like, do y'all have toilet paper or not? Like whatever, right? Those things are important to know. So people are still wearing clothes. They might be wearing them at home, but dry cleaning, car washes, all these people, do you have your customers' information where you can contact them, you can hit them up and keep in touch with them, keep your business top of mind. And if you don't own your traffic, right? So just real quick, there are 3 types of traffic: traffic that you buy, that you borrow, traffic that's basically traffic that you don't own, and then there's traffic that you own, right? A car wash. What's that?
When you say traffic, what do you mean?
I mean customers that are coming into your business, customers that come to your business for whatever reason, be it online or if you have a brick and mortar. That's we consider those people are traffic, right? You can drive traffic. That means you can bring people to you by saying, "Hey, this is what I have," letting them know that in some kind of way. And you do that, let's say on Facebook. You don't own the Facebook traffic. Facebook owns that traffic. Facebook owns that platform. They own that traffic. You move that traffic with an ad from Facebook over to engaging with you some kind of way. Hey, come into my store. Now, what happens when they come into your store? You paid for them to come into your store. And if you're online, then maybe you got their email address or you got something like that. So now that becomes traffic that you purchased to now traffic that you own. And you can control that kind of traffic, right? That's traffic that you can control. And so if you have a brick and mortar business, what are you doing to own your traffic? How are you, like I said earlier, a reward program or something along those lines to capture your customers' email addresses to, again, be able to stay in touch with them, or their cell phone numbers where you can send them an SMS message and that kind of thing, so that you can stay in touch with them. So when your doors reopen, then you say, "Hey, we are open, come on back," which brings us to your Google listing and some other things. But go ahead, Russ. I'm sorry.
No, we're almost out of time.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's a good point that in another conversation we'd love to explore. Looking into all the elements of a digital ecosystem, and even what that is, all of the fundamentals that you should have more than just have a website. I just know, 10, 20 years ago, it was, it was cool to have a website. It was like an extended brochure.
Right.
And unfortunately, many businesses are still treating it as that, and it's much more than that. With the advent of social media, comes a whole new element, and some folks, business leaders and brand managers, are doing it the right way. They're engaging with their, with their public, with their audience, with their prospective clients, but they're not sure how to move them from social media into how to leverage that and move them into either sales or make it advantageous for them. So their marketing ROI, their spend, how much money they're putting into it, they're actually seeing some results of it. So that gets a lot more technical. But when we start talking investing in online marketing and just being online, it's more than just having a website. You need it, but it needs to work for you. So right. we can definitely dig into that I think
And
yeah, go for it.
just on that, on having a website, in some instances, as we found out in the last couple of days with a couple of our clients, that if they are using Google correctly, or Google is stopping people from going to the website, right? Google owns this traffic. People search on Google and they Google your business. And instead of going to your website, they get all of the information from Google that they need. And that would include, review, what other customers are saying about your business. They are getting that from Google. They have your phone number. They have your address. And they have, oftentimes they have products that come there. So what happens is Google is taking all of this information and they're compiling it and becoming a resource so that they don't have to go to your website to get the information that they used to get. They can make a decision right there. Either it's based on what somebody else has said about you, how easy it is to contact you, whether or not you are open right now, whether or not your phone number is here, and I need to call you and ask you some questions, right? So about a business or product or something that I have, and even you can answer questions right on right there on Google. You can ask a question and get an answer right there on Google. So it is important now to have your digital ecosystem in place, and that includes your Google My Business.
Wow, that right there is worth the price of admission for right there. That right there. So, unfortunately, we'll have to pause this discussion, open discussion, and as we go on, we'll make time for those of you who are joining us during this lunchtime to participate, and you can do that through inboxing us any questions or comments you may have on business, on digital marketing, or marketing in general, on media, any of those things we can bring here in future topics. And we can feature some of the questions online as well. And but look forward to joining you guys again tomorrow.
We have a couple more minutes. We have like 3 minutes. I think we can take one or two questions. Yeah, if you want to. Take questions.
I think one of the questions that's out there is, some of them we actually kind of went through in our comments, but one is, what new industries do you expect to be created as a result of COVID-19? Take a stab at that. Will there's always winners and losers during crisis and after crisis. Yeah. Who do you think the winners in a sense of new industries being born, or maybe reinvigorated industries that will come out of this? There should be
like Zoom and these ways to communicate online, Be Live, that we're on, and those platforms that allow you to communicate and have online meetings and those kind of things certainly are booming right now. That we understand this need to still communicate and have face-to-face meetings, but they're platforms that that we need to utilize now in order to make that work. So they are winners, definitely in the short term. But it will become, I think it'll become more a part of our lives as we go forward.
I would say, I would add to that, and I agree. Those who deal in virtual technology will increase when more and more people going online, especially the transition from the physical space to the online world, the internet. There are some brick and mortars that's pretty difficult, when shopping for food, clothes, cars, houses, jewelry, artwork, furniture. However, there's big businesses that have already begun to do that, because you can buy cars, houses.
Yes, online without going into a dealer. That's absolutely correct.
Online, so I can see that happening at a greater pace
Yeah.
But virtual technology, being able to see, feel, kind of touch it, virtual touch it, if you will possibly help escalate that user experience many people are looking for. Have any time for any more?
And we just hit 30 minutes, but we can, give us one more and then we'll.
Well, one more was one that, we mentioned earlier, some of the things business owners should have in place, and you touched on it, and one was having a crisis plan or crisis communications plan. And that's like having insurance, if you will. You hope you never need it, but in the event of you needing it, you have a document that is available to you outside of your brick and mortar office, just in case something happens to your headquarters or your home office. You can still get to it, and it just gives you direction and planning on where everything is, basically, and what to do next. If it's crisis, come in all types of shapes and forms, and as George said, no one really could have guessed COVID-19 being a crisis, but your crisis next time could be, unfortunately, your beauty shop burns down, or your automobile dealership, is flooded, as it happened in Houston, but you need to know who to contact, your different publics, and if you have a customers, as we talked about before, you can go there and keep those lines of communications open so that when you're ready to rebuild, you would have kept those customers informed, and they'll be able to hang with you. So there's a lot more than that, but basically it's that type of thing.
Cool.
Any parting shots?
I just want to say, encourage people to go to onthebrinkmarketinggroup.com/snapshot if you want to take a look at how your business is doing online. Again, that link is right down below, on thebrinkmarketinggroup.com/snapshot. And it will give you at least 5 points as how your business is doing, web, your review presence, your social media, and your advertising, if you're doing any. So take advantage of that. It is free, and it will be enlightening for you. I promise you that. And it'll go a long way toward helping you be ready for the next crisis.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, G.
Yeah, man. We appreciate it. We are out. Yeah, thank y'all. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.
All righty. Have a good day.